Mint, people, and vibe. Crop over. The world's biggest playground. We love crop over.
Don't expect no more than what we.
Inside Barbados Crop Over Festival. Barbados. A small island in the eastern Caribbean Sea, yet its name echoes through music, history, and culture far beyond its shores. This video takes you deep inside one of the most colorful and culturally rich festivals on Earth, the Crop Over Festival, a celebration that transforms the island every year into a moving ocean of rhythm, color, and unity. But before we dive into the festivities, we must first understand the soul behind it, the island itself, its people, and its past. Because to truly see what happens during Crop Over, you need to see the layers of heritage, pride, and survival that built it. This is not just about a carnival of feathers and music, it's about a nation story, told through movement, through sound, and through the unbroken spirit of a people who turned struggle into celebration. So, what is Crop Over, and why does it matter so much to Barbados? In this video, we'll explore where it came from, what it stands for, how it's celebrated today, and what it reveals about the island known as the Gem of the Caribbean Sea. This is the story of how an island once defined by sugar became defined by culture. This is the story of Barbados and its legendary Crop Over Festival. To understand Crop Over, we must start with Barbados itself, a nation small in size but large in identity. Located in the Lesser Antilles of the Caribbean region, Barbados lies roughly 160 kilometers east of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, standing apart from most Caribbean islands as it faces directly into the Atlantic Ocean. It covers just about 430 square kilometers, small enough to drive across in an hour, yet vast in the richness of what it holds. The island's population is a little over 280,000 people, most of whom are of African descent, descendants of those brought to the island during the transatlantic slave trade to work on sugar plantations under brutal colonial conditions. English is the official language, and the rhythm of everyday life flows to the sound of Bajan Creole, a local dialect that mixes English roots with African linguistic influences. The capital city, Bridgetown, is not just the political center of Barbados but also the heart of its culture and commerce, a UNESCO World Heritage Site where colonial architecture still whispers the island's long story. Despite its small size, Barbados ranks among the most developed and politically stable nations in the Caribbean, known for its relatively low crime rate, safe streets, and a welcoming population whose friendliness has become as famous as its beaches. Tourists walk freely, locals greet strangers with warmth, and the energy of the island feels safe, grounded, and real, a reflection of the nation's hard-won peace and independence. Barbados' story cannot be told without mentioning the empire that once ruled it, the British. The island was claimed by England in 1627 and remained under British rule for over 300 years, making it one of the oldest and most loyal colonies in the empire. Sugar became its gold. By the 17th and 18th centuries, Barbados was among the wealthiest colonies in the world because of sugarcane plantations powered by the labor of enslaved Africans. But behind the wealth was immense suffering. Thousands of men, women, and children were forced to work in unbearable conditions, producing the sugar that sweetened European tables while they endured the bitter reality of bondage. Over time, this injustice became the foundation for what would later be transformed into art, music, and eventually, national pride. The scars of slavery did not vanish after abolition in 1834, they became memories that shaped a new identity. Barbados gained its independence from Britain on November 30, 1966, and remained a constitutional monarchy until 2021, when it officially became a republic, removing Queen Elizabeth II as head of state. Today, Barbados stands proud under its own president and government, a symbol of post-colonial strength and sovereignty in the Caribbean. That independence, political and cultural, flows directly into the meaning of Crop Over. Because this festival, though rooted in the colonial era, is now owned entirely by the people who once had no control over their lives. Religion in Barbados plays an important cultural role, weaving together the island's moral and spiritual identity. Christianity remains the dominant faith, with the Anglican Church having historical prominence due to the British influence. But beyond Anglicanism, there are Methodists, Pentecostals, Catholics, and a growing presence of Rastafarians and spiritual communities reflecting African heritage. Religion here is not confined to buildings, it's reflected in music, community, and family values. Sundays often feel sacred, not just for worship, but for rest, family gatherings, and reflection. It's a culture of faith without fanaticism, of spirituality without pretense. Even during crop over, when the energy rises and streets explode in rhythm and dance, that moral grounding remains. You'll find people praying in the morning, then dancing by afternoon. Barbados shows that joy and reverence can coexist, a reflection of a people who have always balanced tradition with modern life. This harmony between sacred and secular is one of the reasons why crop over has never lost its dignity, even as it has grown into one of the Caribbean's biggest festivals. Economically, Barbados is one of the Caribbean's success stories. Once entirely dependent on sugar exports, it has diversified over the years into tourism, finance, and technology. The island's economy benefits heavily from tourism, especially during the crop over season, when thousands of visitors from across the world arrive to experience its unique culture. Yet, despite this modernization, Barbados remains deeply aware of its roots. The sugarcane, the crop that once represented oppression, still grows, but now it symbolizes transformation. That's why the festival's very name, Crop Over, comes from the sugar industry's past. It marks the end of the sugar cane harvest, a time when enslaved Africans once celebrated surviving another brutal season. What was once a moment of relief after months of back-breaking labor became a rare chance to sing, dance, and express joy. Centuries later, that small seed of celebration blossomed into a nationwide event, evolving into one of the oldest continuously celebrated festivals in the Western Hemisphere. To understand crop over is to see how Barbados turned its history of pain into a symbol of cultural rebirth. The origins of crop over go back to the 1780s, when plantation owners allowed enslaved workers to hold small gatherings at the end of the sugar harvest. The celebrations involved drumming, singing, and dancing, acts that gave enslaved people a brief sense of humanity in a world that denied them freedom. They celebrated their endurance, their ability to survive, and their faith that joy could still exist amid suffering. Over time, these gatherings became a cultural expression of identity, even under colonial watch. After slavery ended, the tradition continued for decades, slowly fading as the sugar industry declined. But in 1974, the Barbados Tourist Board revived crop over as a way to celebrate the island's heritage and attract visitors. What began as a tourism project became a movement of national pride. Barbados reclaimed the festival as their own, infusing it with African rhythms, local art, and modern creativity. Today, crop over represents both history and progress, the bridge between the old Barbados and the new. It's a reminder that culture, no matter how small or suppressed, always finds a way to rise again. Crop over today is not just a festival, it is a season, a living chapter in Barbados' identity that begins as early as May and stretches all the way to August. This 3-month period transforms the island into a heartbeat of music, dance, color, and emotion. From small community events to large-scale national parades, every week feels like a build-up toward something greater. The official opening is usually marked in June, signaling the beginning of the festivities, but the energy begins long before that. Throughout the island, people prepare costumes, design music tracks, and plan events months in advance. Schools teach students about the meaning of crop over, and local artisans work late nights building floats, drums, and feather designs that will later flood the streets. The air itself changes, you can feel the anticipation from Bridgetown to Speightstone, from the markets to the beaches. This anticipation is not about tourism or entertainment, it's about reconnecting with identity. Crop over is the time of year when Barbadians remind themselves and the world that they are descendants of resilience. Each song, each dance, and each costume is a declaration: we survived, we thrived, and we are still here. The festival is structured around several iconic events, each with its own character, story, and energy. One of the most beloved is Foreday morning, an early morning street party that takes place before dawn. It starts around 1 a.m. and goes until sunrise, and it's unlike anything else in the world. Thousands of people, covered in mud, paint, and powder, take to the streets behind music trucks blasting soca rhythms. It's not about glamour, it's about freedom. The paint and mud are symbolic, they strip away social status and appearance, reminding everyone that they are equal in joy and energy. Foreday morning is one of those events that perfectly capture the duality of crop over. It's chaotic yet beautiful, wild yet meaningful. Locals often say that it's their favorite part of the festival because it feels pure and real, unfiltered by cameras or tourism. It's a moment of release, of unity, and of shared laughter as strangers dance together before the sun rises, marking the new dawn of celebration. When daylight finally breaks, you see people smiling, exhausted but alive, and you understand that this is not just a party, it's a collective exhale of a nation that's learned to turn its past into art. As the season continues, Bridgetown Market becomes one of the main attractions, blending tradition with modern life. The market, held along Spring Garden Highway, is a showcase of Barbadian creativity. Vendors sell everything from handmade jewelry and local artwork to roasted corn, fish cakes, and refreshing coconut water. The smells of grilled food fill the air as steel pan bands play live music nearby. It's a place where generations meet, grandparents telling stories of old-time crop over while young people dance to new rhythms. Here, the economic and cultural life of Barbados merge beautifully. Small business owners thrive, artists display their talent, and the spirit of community feels tangible. Tourists may come to buy souvenirs, but what they really experience is the authenticity of Bajan life. The market becomes a reminder that crop over is more than spectacle, it's a living economy powered by creativity, love, and hustle. Every coin spent at the market is a direct investment in local pride. And every handshake or smile exchanged is part of the larger story of how this festival sustains the nation beyond its cultural impact. No festival would be complete without music, and in Barbados, that means soca. Born from calypso, soca is the pulse of crop over, fast-paced, energetic, and irresistibly joyful. Its lyrics celebrate life, love, and unity, often layered with humor or subtle political messages. During crop over, radio stations and sound systems play the latest soca tracks non-stop, and artists compete fiercely for the title of Soca Monarch. This competition is one of the festival's most electrifying highlights. Thousands gather at Kensington Oval or other major venues to watch performers light up the stage with costumes, dance crews, and massive energy. The crowd sings every lyric, waving flags, jumping, and chanting together in perfect rhythm. For Bajans, soca isn't just music, it's identity. It's how they tell their stories in rhythm and poetry, transforming everyday experiences into anthems of celebration. The songs from one year's crop over often become time capsules of emotion, remembered long after the season ends. They become part of family gatherings, road trips, and weddings, proof that the music of crop over is not temporary. It lives on, carrying the heartbeat of the island long after the drums go quiet. Another key event that defines crop over is Cohoblopot, a word that in Barbadian dialect means a mix of many things. This event truly lives up to its name. It's a massive concert and cultural showcase that blends different art forms, music, dance, theatre, and storytelling into one unforgettable night. It features local and international performers, and it's where you see the best of Bajan creativity on display. But beyond the entertainment, Cohoblopot serves a deeper purpose. It keeps traditional folklore and performance alive. Between the glitter and lights, you'll see performances inspired by African drumming, tuck bands, and old folk songs that date back centuries. These elements connect modern Barbados to its ancestral roots, ensuring that young generations never forget where their rhythms came from. In a world where many cultural festivals are losing authenticity, Barbados has managed to protect its soul through events like this. Cohoblopot stands as a bridge between the old and the new, showing that culture can evolve without losing its essence. It's a celebration of heritage, diversity, and innovation all at once, reflecting the very definition of what Barbados has become, a blend of history and modern pride. Then comes the grand finale, Grand Kadooment Day, the crown jewel of the entire crop over season. This is the day when everything that's been building up for months explodes into a spectacular display of color, rhythm, and emotion. Held on the first Monday of August, Grand Kadooment is a massive street parade where thousands of people take part in masquerade bands, each wearing elaborate costumes designed around different themes. Feathers, sequins, and jewels glisten under the Caribbean sun as the music trucks roll through the streets, blaring soca and bringing life to every corner of Bridgetown. It's a scene of beauty and pure human expression. For many Bayons, it's not about showing off, it's about feeling alive. The costumes are more than decoration, they are symbols of liberation. Each band represents a story, sometimes inspired by nature, history, or even social issues. The parade begins early in the morning and can last well into the afternoon, ending at Spring Garden Highway near the beach. As the sun sets, people jump into the ocean still in their costumes, washing away the sweat, the paint, and the exhaustion, leaving only joy behind. The sea becomes a mirror reflecting the island's triumph over its history. Every step taken during Kadooment feels like a step forward, from oppression to freedom, from survival to celebration. To truly understand why crop over means so much to Barbados, you have to look beyond the music and costumes and see the story behind it all, the symbolism that gives it life. At its core, crop over is a celebration of transformation. It's the story of an island that once lived under the shadow of colonialism, reclaiming its power through joy and culture. The sugarcane harvest once represented exhaustion and servitude, now it symbolizes strength and rebirth. The drumming that once called people to work now calls them to dance. The colors once forbidden in plantation fields now paint the skies. This reversal of meaning is what makes crop over so powerful. It's a living act of resistance and healing. Every year, when Bayons dance through the streets, they're rewriting their history in real time. They are saying that no matter what chains their ancestors wore, the rhythm in their blood could never be broken. In that sense, crop over is not just a national festival, it's a spiritual experience that unites past and present. It honors the pain that built Barbados and celebrates the freedom that defines it today. Economically, the festival has become one of the most important pillars of Barbados' modern identity. The crop over season attracts thousands of visitors from around the world, generating millions of dollars in tourism revenue. Flights fill up months in advance, hotels run at near full capacity, and local businesses thrive on the wave of economic activity. Street vendors, costume designers, makeup artists, and musicians all benefit from the flow of visitors and local spending during the season. But what makes this economic boom special is that it's rooted in authenticity. Unlike some destinations that lose their identity to commercialization, Barbados has managed to balance tourism with cultural integrity. The government and local organizations have worked to ensure that crop over remains a celebration of Barbadian culture first, and a tourist attraction second. Visitors are invited to experience it, but not to define it. They're encouraged to participate, but with respect for the island's heritage. This economic model, built on culture rather than replacing it, is one of the reasons Barbados stands as a model for sustainable cultural tourism in the Caribbean. The result is a festival that benefits the people who created it while also sharing their story with the world. The festival's impact on the youth is another aspect that makes it so meaningful. For young Bayons, crop over isn't just an event they attend, it's a rite of passage, a living classroom of heritage. Schools often organize cultural programs leading up to the festival, teaching students about the history of sugar, the struggles of their ancestors, and the power of unity. Children learn to play instruments like the steel pan or the drum, and they perform folk dances inspired by African traditions. These early experiences create a sense of pride that no textbook could ever deliver. It reminds them that being Bajan means being part of a legacy that turned survival into creativity. Many young artists get their first break during crop over, performing on small stages or designing costumes for local bands. The festival acts as a launchpad for new talent, ensuring that the spirit of innovation continues with each generation. It's through this passing of culture from old to young that Barbados keeps its soul alive. The youth don't just inherit the festival, they evolve it, bringing fresh energy to an ancient rhythm. One of the most striking things about crop over is the role of women. Throughout history, women have been the backbone of Barbadian society, raising families, building communities, and keeping traditions alive even when systems were built against them. In crop over, their presence is everywhere. They are band leaders, costume designers, dancers, singers, and organizers. Many of the most vibrant and successful bands are led by women who pour their creativity and heart into the designs that dominate the parade. Soca artists like Alison Hinds, often called the Queen of Soca, have become symbols of female empowerment, using their voices to express confidence, independence, and joy. On Kadooment Day, women march with pride and power, their costumes shimmering under the sun like living art. And while outsiders sometimes mistake the festival's expression for mere entertainment, locals understand its deeper meaning, that this is a space where women can celebrate their strength freely. It's a declaration that beauty, power, and history can exist together. Crop Over gives women the freedom to be bold, confident, and unapologetically themselves, reminding everyone that they have always been the heartbeat of the island. As Barbados has modernized, the Crop Over Festival has not stayed frozen in time. It has evolved with technology, media, and global recognition. International artists, photographers, and influencers now attend, helping showcase Barbados to the world. Yet, the festival remains authentically Bajan at its core. One of the most influential figures in bringing global attention to Crop Over is none other than Rihanna, Barbados' most famous daughter. Born in St. Michael and raised in Bridgetown, she has returned several times to celebrate Kadooment Day, proudly wearing local costumes and sharing the event with millions of followers. Her presence doesn't just add glamour, it adds validation, proof that even global icons carry their culture with pride. Every time Rihanna steps onto the road in her costume, she becomes a symbol of Barbados' evolution, from a small colonial sugar island to a global cultural powerhouse. Through her and others like her, the world sees that Barbados is not defined by its size but by its soul. The island may only stretch 34 kilometers long, but its influence travels far beyond its shores, carried by the rhythm of Crop Over. At its heart, the festival also carries a message of unity. Barbados, like many Caribbean nations, is made up of diverse communities, people of African, European, and Indian descent, all shaped by centuries of migration and history. Crop Over brings them all together in one shared moment of celebration. During the festival, social divisions fade away. The CEO and the street vendor, the local and the tourist, the young and the old, they all dance side by side under the same sun. This unity reflects the spirit of what it means to be Bajan, proud, resilient, and joyful despite challenges. It's a reflection of how the Caribbean, though small in geography, holds some of the world's strongest examples of community and solidarity. For outsiders, Crop Over may look like a party. For locals, it's a reminder that they are one people, bound by rhythm, memory,